Knock, knock, knock goes the door. These brats are at it again. I put the meanest look I can muster on my face and answer the door, ready to tell these no-good trick-or-treaters off for the billionth time tonight. There ain't no frickin' candy here, I growl as I open the door. To my surprise, there is just a single person. It's not a child, but what appears to be a fully grown man, wearing what appears to be normal street clothes. A white hooded sweatshirt and black slacks, and a stupid-looking mask that kind of looks like a knockoff of the Joker from Batman. In his left hand was a big, nearly full pillow sheet stained in fake blood. "Trick or treat," he says in a giggly yet raspy voice. "Did you not hear me?" I answered. "I said there ain't no candy, you stupid punk." The freak tilts his head to the side like a confused puppy, that stupid rubber mask hiding what I assume to be a look of disappointment. He stands there, breathing heavy for a good 30 seconds before he says yet again, "Trick or treat." I slam the door in his stupid face, lock it, and walk back to my chair to get back to my movie I was watching. As soon as I plant myself in my chair, there's another knock on my door. Dagnabbit, I think to myself. The knocking continues, but I ignore it. The knocking becomes more frequent, and I once again shout, "There ain't no frickin' candy!" And I curse in frustration as I pull myself up from my seat, ready to let this punk kid have it. I swing the door open and see that same Joker idiot standing there breathing just as heavy. "Trick or treat," he says yet again, a hint of anger in his voice. "All right," I answer. "How about a trick? I can make your entire head disappear with a shotgun if you don't get off my property." "That's funny," he says, the raspy giggling tone back in his voice. "I can do the same trick." He then proceeds to turn over his bag, dumping about 6 or 7 human heads. "With this," he continues on, while pulling out a large, sharp knife from the back of his pants. At first, I think they're just prop heads, something to go along with what I had previously assumed to be a poor excuse for a costume. But when I smell the metallic scent of blood and the very realistic trauma to the decapitation wounds, I understand what was happening. He then tosses the bag aside and rushes towards me. I quickly attempt to swing the door closed, but he thrusts his free hand inside, blocking it from closing. He screams in annoyed pain as I continue to repeatedly slam the door in hopes of breaking his arm until he pulls it out, allowing me to finally close and lock it. Holy crap, I say out loud as I rush to grab my 12 gauge. I load in the shells and yell as loud as I can. "How about that trick, you son of a..." I listen for a response, but I hear nothing. I slowly approach the door, wishing that I had a peephole. I listen closely, making sure not to put my head too close to it. I move over to the window, which up to that point was covered by blackout curtains, and discreetly take a peek. Thankfully, the lunatic is gone, as well as the bundle of human heads. I decide to call the cops, despite my personal feelings about them, and inform them of the psycho with a bag of severed heads trying to break into my home and kill me. Of course, their opinion on the matter is some punk playing a Halloween prank on me, but they tell me they'll send a couple of officers out to investigate regardless. After I hang up the phone, I hear the sound of glass breaking upstairs. Crap, I think to myself, realizing that the lunatic has actually climbed to the 2nd floor from the outside and broken in through a window. I grip my shotgun, take a breath, and slowly approach the steps leading upstairs. Realizing the crazy kid has actually climbed to the 2nd floor from the outside and broken in through a window, I grip my shotgun, take a deep breath, and slowly approach the steps leading upstairs. One step at a time, I ascend, ready for that stupid masked freak to pop out at any moment. I finally get to the top and approach my bedroom, the most likely entry point. I stay aware of my surroundings, listening for every slight sound as I enter the room. I see the broken window. He's definitely in here, I think to myself, as I carefully examine the room. The room seems clear, so I approach the window to make sure he's not just waiting on the outside of it. As soon as I get to it, however, I hear the sound of footsteps running from behind me out to the hallway. I quickly turn around and aim my gun. I rush to the doorway and notice him standing on the other side of the hall. He's just standing there like he was before, breathing hard and tilting his head. I get ready to fire when I feel a sharp pain in my back. "Trick or treat," says a sweet-sounding sing-songy voice. She grabs the gun from my hand and tosses it aside as I fall to my knees. I cough up blood as she walks over to her partner. I notice that she's wearing the exact same outfit. They both just stand there, I assume, waiting for me to bleed out. A normal man would probably grow weak, begin to black out, and slowly fade into the abyss. I've never been really considered a normal man, though. I've felt worse pain, and I've been much closer to death than this before. Suddenly, I get a feeling. One that I hadn't felt in many years. I start to laugh, as painful as it is to do so. The blood I cough up stains my lips, making my face look like those stupid masks. As I continue to laugh, the two intruders look at each other and back at me. The guy approaches me, ready to stab me with his own blade, but the adrenaline puts me into overdrive as I surprise tackle him and begin slamming my fist into his face. His mask takes a lot of the force, but still he drops his knife and tries to fight me off. Instinctively, I reach over, grab the knife, and plunge it deep into his chest. He promptly stops fighting me. Everything happens so fast that the girl can't even process how to react. I can only imagine how this night is clearly not going the way she had planned. I pull the knife from her dead partner's chest and lift my head up, my eyes staring at her now. My breath is heavy, and the adrenaline is blocking out the pain from my wound. All I can feel now is ecstasy, like an addict that's been denied his pleasure for so many years, and now finally got a taste of his former vice. I begin laughing again. You know, I should thank you, I say. You've certainly brought me some quality entertainment. It's been way too long since I've had a proper workout, and hot diggity dog, I've missed this. The clueless woman just stands there, visibly trembling, clearly with no idea what she's walked into. Like a wild animal, I rush towards her and I pin her to the floor after knocking her off her feet. She screams in terror until I cut her off by gripping her throat with one hand, and I raise the knife with the other. It's been real fun, I say, trying to regain my composure. But I think it's way past your bedtime. So why don't you go to sleep? If there's one thing I've wanted for a while now, it's been able to enjoy my retirement. As much as I hate trick-or-treaters, I hate copycat killers that much more, especially when they disturb that enjoyment. Thinking back to those masks though, it clicks who they were supposed to be, and I roll my eyes and chuckle. Everyone always gets it wrong when it comes to me, though I will admit some interpretations have been better than others. Those stupid Walmart masks, however, look nothing like me, but it's whatever. Those cops finally show up. Better late than never, I guess. Luckily, the responding officers are pretty close friends of mine, so the situation is much easier to explain and keep discreet. I go to the ER, get the knife wound checked out, and arrive home pretty late. It's been a pretty long night, and I'm exhausted. It's definitely way past my bedtime. Time for me to go to sleep.